The other day we heard a personal narrative by a high school student. Today we'll read another one, written by another high school student. As I read, I want you to see what items from our personal narrative chart they are using in their writing. I also want you to think about people in your life you might want to use as inspiration to write a personal narrative about. Many things touch the heart. A snowflake in a storm. A leaf falling in autumn. My mother has touched my heart. In her eyes I see her undying desire to learn, and in her hands her struggle to raise her family. I admire her spirit and the power of her hands. I can imagine her as a little girl, with long black hair in a ponytail, walking to school along the grassy sidewalks of China. She carries a school bag her grandmother sewed for her, and her shoes have a brown stain that sets her apart from her classmates. She drags her feet through the muddy streets, occasionally looking up at the sun for comfort. She's not had breakfast. I hear coins jingling in her coat pocket. She's finally saved a month's worth of lunch money for school tuition. Today, she will have to start saving again for next semester. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and see light coming from the bathroom. My mother struggles to read the 2-week-old newspaper, eyelids drooping and hands relaxing. But somehow she manages to keep reading, absorbing knowledge. I can feel the contour of my mother's fingers when I think of her. The tips are cracked from constantly washing white rice and green vegetables. Scrubbing clothes has added years of texture. Her job as a seamstress has made her fingers stiff, yet she goes to the factory day after day and sews. On rainy days she asks me to wash the rice for her, saying she has to do something else. But I know better. Her hands ache on rainy days. I look at my mother and see her white hair and the eyes that look to the sun for relief from hunger. The worn-out hands continue to scrub and wash. Her fine skin is aging rapidly. Although some see my mother as a woman with bad eyesight, rough, man-like hands, and little education, I see her as an exceptional person with qualities I hope to have one day. Just like we've done with other personal narratives, I want you to find where you feel like the author uses good voice. In class, we would talk about the parts you find with people at your table. Another thing I want you to think is what mother's hands say about what kind of person she is. Again, in class, this is something we would discuss with each other, but this is something that you can just think on your own. You might be thinking that her hands show that she is a very hardworking and dedicated person. So the author expresses a unique personality and way of writing by including some descriptive details, and not others, to tell about the mother. Rather than giving a full physical description of the mother, for example, like her hair and eye color, or simply telling us that mother had a hard life, the author chooses to use just the mother's hands to tell a lot about her. I want you to think, what do your family's members' hands say about them? What other features reveals information about your family member? What does that feature tell about them? After you've brainstormed an answer to my question, or if you think of something else about a family member or an important person in your life that you would want to write about, you can open up a Google Doc and write a personal narrative about that person. Remember to use lots of details, like in our story that we read today. Don't forget to share the doc with me so that way I can give you feedback on what you're doing well with your writing and what you can improve before we start our final project for personal narratives.